I'd like to welcome you to our first Fling.con live stream. We're kind of going to have some fun tonight. Going to introduce ourselves, going to give you a little bit of flavor of who we are, going to try to keep it around a half hour, though I make you no promises. We all know Joe can talk forever, so we gotta keep him calmed down over there.
Only about board games.
Oh, well, yeah, but that is what we're talking about. So, but we're going to tell you a little bit about our favorite games and kind of who we are so you get to know us. So when you come to the next con, and by the way, it's in January, you better be buying your tickets and be ready because it's coming up faster than you know. But you can come and say hello to us. We can have some fun, slap hands, and enjoy some good gaming together. So, Joe, this is really your thing. You started this in your living room so long ago with a handful of your friends. So we're going to go ahead and start with you, if you don't mind. Or, well, I don't know. My computer is going to be this direction. But tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'd like to know what your current favorite game is and kind of how you ended up getting into board gaming as a hobby.
Yeah, those can be some very lengthy answers. I'll give you the quick answer of how I got into gaming. I was probably less than 10, working summer jobs, mowing grass for neighbors, and I saved up enough money for this. I don't know what year it was, 1980 something, Access and Allies game that I had no clue what it was, but it looked really cool. So I saved up enough money, I purchased it, and board games was it for till now. With that said, we've got a lot more options for board games now, so we've got a lot more purchases now. So favorite game, War of the Ring, which is an older game, came out I think in 2009. Is probably still my favorite game. It is only a 2-player game. But it's still probably my favorite game. And as far as the con goes, it started here in the living room. We never really thought like, hey, let's grow this to a con. It was more so let's just get more and more friends together. And that's really what it blossomed to be. I will say, we eventually got to the point where, their legalities became involved. So we became an LLC last year, and it just formed into, the convention that it is today.
So which one of you two hooked the other one in? Did you rope Dave in or did Dave rope you in?
I'll let Dave answer that one.
All right, Dave, then we're going to toss the ball to you. So same questions, brief introduction of yourself, favorite current game, and how'd you get into gaming as a hobby?
Well, let me start by telling you that Joe is more than just a board gamer. He's also an athlete. And that's actually how I met Joe. We used to play basketball together. I would school him quite often, and he felt kind of bad, and I felt bad for beating him a lot. So he's not a very big guy, so he's kind of easy to run around. Yeah. But yeah, so one day we were sitting there and Joe asked me something about playing board games. And in my mind, board games were like Monopoly and Sorry and stuff. I'm like, sure, why not? I can handle myself in those games. I didn't know any better.
John, good to see
you. So I said, sure, showed up one day and he pulled out some game and I was like, what in the crap is this? That's not Monopoly. We ended up playing a game called Minerva that he had just gotten off the Kickstarter. And let me just say, I got destroyed. He had no problem with making me look like a little baby when it came to these board games. I mean, he's like, that's what you get for beating me at basketball all the time. I said, I get it. So, but yeah, and ever since then, that was October 2018, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
I think, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And so, I mean, just because Joe and I hung out a lot, I mean, I started playing more and more board games with him, and I just kind of picked it up. He introduced me to some a little bit easier games to kind of try and re-ease me back into the gaming community since I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, and then from there it just blew up. He invited me to go with him to BGG 2019.
Okay.
And I went absolutely nuts. I mean, I spent way too much money buying board games at that point.
Yeah, I my wife has made that same charge against me more than once, I'm afraid. So Dave,
I get that as well.
here's the hot button question.
Yeah.
Who do you think is taller, Joe or John?
Oh, Joe's definitely
Joe
taller.
Joe's definitely
John's
taller than me.
John's a lot better looking, but I mean, Joe's definitely taller.
Hey, we can't all be good at everything, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Speaking of John, we're going to toss it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into gaming as a hobby, and what is your current favorite game?
So, my getting into the hobby was obviously like a lot of people's was Magic the Gathering, and that was in the early '90s. I played probably from about a little bit after beta on until the early 2000s, and then I got just engulfed in a game called Lord of the Rings trading card game,
Mm.
which is a very easy transition from Magic. Big Lord of the Rings fan. I read a lot of, I've read all the books and love all the movies. And then when that came to an end, I transitioned into board games, just because trading card games are very, I love trading card games, but they're very expensive. Chasing rares, opening random packs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's really hard on your wallet. So
I remember. I remember.
Yeah.
At least
So,
with the board game, once you buy it, it's done.
yes. Yeah, I mean, barring maybe an expansion a few years
expansion.
later, but you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about, buying multiple packs and sets and stuff like that.
Unless you're
So
Joe,
I came a little
you got to get them all
prepared.
painted, get them all, everything else. Ooh.
Yeah,
There you go.
I came a little prepared. This is my favorite board game.
Oh,
It's,
nice.
Five Tribes. And Five
Area
Tribes
control?
is no, Five Tribes is it's a, I guess, like abstract game, and it's has Mancala in it where you're moving around different colored meeples,
Mhm.
and based off of the color of the meeples that you end up with, you will activate a particular action, whether it be area control, whether it be set collection, or whether it be assassinating other players' meeples that are on the board. That game is published by Days of Wonder, and Bruno
I like
Cathala
them.
is the designer of it.
They do some good work.
Yes, they do. Days of Wonder is.
As everybody kind of picks on
fantastic.
me, I'm a Rio Grande games guy myself. I like most everything Rio Grande puts out myself. But
Rio Grande makes some really good games. I just wish they would kind of pick up their component quality a little bit.
okay, I mean, I can't really, fault you for that. So I guess it's time I get involved in this. My name is Wes. For those of you who haven't already seen me on social media, I got involved in board games back in the late '90s, out in California, where I was living at the time. And a buddy introduced me to this funny game, and I'm gonna watch some smiles crack here. It's called the Settlers of Catan.
Mm.
That is the gateway game, I think, that just hooks everybody. And I was
Settlers
like,
of Catan has the notoriety of Magic, man.
I was like,
Yeah.
what is this? What is this game? So he played it. I loved it. And slowly he started rolling them out. I think the game that really trapped me in the board gaming world was a game that really nobody else likes to play with me. And that's a game called Robo Rally.
Oh,
Everybody seems to hate that game except me. I seem to be the only person who does not absolutely hate this game.
Robo Rally is the game where you find out who your friends really are.
Yes, yes.
I have
Well,
never played it, so
and it's funny, Joe
Nope.
talks about Axis and Allies because growing up, outside of what Dave said, Monopoly, Scrabble, and everything else, the only board game I had ever played was Axis and Allies. And boy, we killed more weekends playing that game than almost anything else.
Mhm.
So, and then I got into the con Richard Grahowski invited me. It was when we were up in New Braunfels, and I can't. And you want to talk about getting hooked, man? It was so much fun. I mean, I just came in. I didn't bring a single game with me, not one single game. And I don't think I stood more than 5 minutes without somebody inviting me to come sit down and play a game with them because they needed another player. It was a blast. I absolutely
Yeah.
loved it. So,
I
if you
think that's the greatest thing about the conventions is that, you're there for a common, like for a common love of board games. And I find that most board gamers are very, hey, come sit down, play this game with me. You don't know how
Absolutely.
to play it. That's okay. We'll help you out. We'll teach you how to play it.
Right.
And you may not be the best at that game at that time, but you made that connection with those people. And I think that's what's important about all the conventions.
absolutely.
There seem to be a lot of them popping up these days.
And by the way, have you got Dr. Pepper Zero? Is that what I saw?
I
Oh yeah.
do.
See, Joe, we're gonna have to make sure we order a bunch more of those for the next convention.
I
We
drank
sold
all
a
of them
bunch
at
of
the
those
last
at the
one.
convention. That was a popular drink.
Oh, I'm telling you, and I got the nice one. I got the cream soda, so it's
Oh, that was good.
you know,
Yeah.
but not that any of you three would have to worry about your weight, but I'm one of those guys that just needs the zero because I need to cut the calories out wherever I can. But so let me ask you guys, we've all been to the con. I think I have been to believe it or not, I've been to the smallest amount of cons of anybody on this video. So I gave you my impression of it, my first time there. But when you look over, the kind of the most recent conventions, I'm going to limit it to the last three. So
Yep.
just the last three. What would you say was the highlight of the overall conventions within the last three conventions that we've had for you? What was it that just really you loved and couldn't get enough of? Joe, let's start with you.
Uh, I have a different perspective of the con than most people. So for me, from the time you started coming, Wes, I feel that we are far more organized and put together than we were back then. And not to say that we weren't then, but we learned so much from every single con that we work to make it a better event than it was 6 months ago. Aside from that, I think the bazaar is something that has been growing and growing every time. I think we reached over 1,000 games the last two times we had a bazaar in there, and there's not a single minute in the con where you look over and it's empty. There's always somebody over there shopping, and I think that is one of the main highlights of our con. And we do it a little bit differently than other conventions. We leave it open the entire time the attendees can be in there. So the entire time you're there, you can go browse 1,000+ games that are for sale, and the prices are really good in there because who sets the prices? The attendees do, and they're trying to clear their shelves of games to make for new ones. So the bazaar for me is I don't know if it's the number one thing in there, but I think it's the number one for a lot of people, and it's definitely one of the highlights of the con.
You ready for the fun part, Joe?
Go ahead.
So I picked up not last con, but the one before that. So my current favorite game, I missed that part, is Terraforming Mars. I have just fallen in love with this game.
Great game.
I cannot put this game down. 2 cons ago, which would have been the winter before, I found the Kickstarter, everything 3D printed pieces version of Terraforming Mars with all the expansions and all of this and all of that. Guess how much I paid for it?
How much?
And I paid the asking price. It wasn't a reduced price. I paid the asking price, $180.
That's still a good price for
That's
what
a
I
great
think.
price.
That is really good.
When it comes with all the
Yeah.
expansions and
Yeah.
everything else already in the box, I'm like, oh, good Lord.
And
Yeah.
what would that have cost you in retail?
The last time I looked, it's like between $300 and $400 because you can't. It's the Kickstarter. It's the one that
Yeah.
it's the one that you had to get on Kickstarter. So the people are selling it on eBay. You can't like go to Amazon and buy it.
Right. True.
So it's like $300-400. Now you can still get the big box, and that's 200, 250, something
Right.
like that, which still that's even a good price,
Right.
250 to 180. But I just lucked out. I rolled out of there feeling like I was like I just stole something. I didn't.
Well, we've heard so many stories like that about, I can't believe we found this in the bazaar at Fling.con. It's such a good buy, and they feel so lucky that they got something there. And I try to make my way over there to the bazaar, a couple of times during the con as well. And every time I go there, I find something I want to buy too. So it's the games are great and the prices are great as well.
So Dave, you have just a couple of kids.
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah. Would you believe that I found my first con and I scooped it up? I mean, I picked it up as soon as I saw it. An out of print copy of Stardew Valley selling for on eBay only for about $75 to $100, and I picked it up for $25.
That's not
That's a
bad.
good price for that.
Everything's still in the
Yeah.
box. Two of the things in the box, two of the cards or whatever that weren't even open. And I picked this up. Somebody like bought it, never played it, put it up in the bazaar at Fling.con. I got it for $25.
Wow.
I'm like, look, just coming for the bazaar is worth the price of admission, in my opinion.
It is. It is.
That's just me. That's just me. Dave, what about you? Over the last 3 cons, what do you think was the real highlight for you?
For me, honestly, I think it's the growth. Just watching every con, more and more people coming in, more and more people enjoying it. I mean, it's just getting constant feedback from attendees at how great it is, how excited they are, how they're spreading the news to all of their friends as well. So just to see from where Joe started to now and the growth that's happened is it's amazing, and I love to see it. I love to see more and more people showing up to where we're always having to find something bigger, something better to accommodate all the people who want to be a part of it. And I think to me, it's just been great. It's been amazing to see that.
And I'll throw that note in there that Dave was there from the very start.
That's
Dave
all.
was,
Yeah.
Dave was there when it was, I don't know, 15 people in my living room.
Yeah,
So
15, 16 people.
Yep.
Hopefully, Joe, you'll be on this show and you'll be giving us some positive news on where it's going to be some point in the future. And I'm hoping it's not too far in the future, but that's just me. That's just me.
It's coming.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. So no promises yet, people. We're not letting anything out of the bag, but stay tuned. All right, John, your go. Over the last 3 cons, you're the newest staff member, so you've got a really cool perspective. I think versus the rest of us here who've been really working at the con, and that you've been there as an attendee and you've been able to really kind of maximize hopefully the fun of the event. So for you, what was the major thing that you enjoyed most over the last 3 conventions?
So, and I'm never gonna let Joe live this down. Air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
Remember that one, Dave?
And Joe knows what I'm talking about, and Dave's been there since the beginning, and he knows what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That wasn't our first con, but that was the first con without AC in the middle of Texas. In the middle of
that's
summer.
the thing in Texas.
So that and I say that in poking good fun to Joe. I know that was not something that was planned or anything like that. But on the real here, I think the best thing at the last convention was Axe Shack. Axe Shack came in. You could order food; they would deliver it to you. And it was amazing. And I just hope that it was worth it for them, to return next year. I know that, food has been offered in the past, but I think Joe's con is growing so much that it's just not a feasible option for him to be able to continue to do that. So I'm glad that he kind of made the decision to outsource that to another I guess like vendor. As far as like other stuff with the con, again, the bazaar. I can't say enough great things about the bazaar. I've had so many great finds there, price wise, um, and out of print games. Um, it's just that's what I look forward to probably the most is the bazaar, and then on a lateral movement to that, I look forward to just playing games. I told Joe, at the last con, because I was there as an attendee, he asked me how I was doing and how I was enjoying it, and you know, and I told him as long as he doesn't grow to the size of you know, Gen Con, we're good.
Oh,
Well,
I,
you
I
Well,
know,
don't I don't
we're
think we
gonna need
have.
a few more staff members,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
hey, maybe some full timers at that point.
maybe some full timers.
You know, but
Yeah.
it's
So
one of those where as I have watched what I've been able to watch over the last 4 5 conventions, I've just been amazed at you can walk in and everyone, because the biggest complaint I hear when because you know me, I'll talk to a tree if it'll give me the time of day, and I sit down and I talk to people, and a lot of these people also go to all these other conventions, and the number one complaint I hear about the other conventions is if you don't know how to play the game, there are some people who will teach you, but generally it's, hey, look, find the next table. It's so big, there's so many people, it's like find another table. We're just looking to play. Whereas here, at our convention, at least, and again, this is just my experience, I can't speak for anybody else's, they're always so willing to teach you whatever they've got. I mean, it doesn't matter what they've got out on the table. If you come by and you say, "Hey, what you got going on?" I'm in the middle of shooting a YouTube video, and I pull up to somebody. I'm like, "Hey, what game you got going on?" They start like explaining it to me. They're like, "Hey, you want to play?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a little busy right now, but maybe afterwards." And and for me, that was really the coolest thing, um, because unlike Joe and Dave and John, who have this just library encyclopedic knowledge of all these games and everything else, I'm kind of the newbie comparatively to the hobby. And so for me, that is what I always found to be so wonderful about Fling.con is when you get there, you can come in with no games. You can come in with almost no knowledge of anything. Maybe the only board game you played in your life is Monopoly, and everyone in the world is more than happy to have you sit down at their table, teach you the game, show you how to play it, and let you have a good time with them. And that I have added games to my library simply because I played them at Fling.con. Somebody taught it to me, and I just loved the game. I was like, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Thunder Road. That was exactly what happened. I played the game, and I was like, I love this game. I've got to get a copy. So I for me, the attitude, the spirit of the people, the attendees, the staff, just I don't want to use, I feel like the term family is kind of overused. But
It's a great community. It's a great community, I think, is what
yeah,
you're searching
yeah,
for.
it's a great
the
community
community,
Yeah.
yeah.
to be a part of. It really is. And I really, that's the thing that I have loved about it. And so, Joe, as always, I say it every year. I'm going to say it again, and yeah, but thank you, man. Just thank you for all of it, for putting it together. It could have been easy, especially at the beginning, but now we're seeing it just blossom, and I'm grateful. I know a lot of other people are too.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. And one of the reasons we're so successful is because we do have an amazing staff, and that is an understatement. And part of the success of what you were just talking about is, you pick up a game at Fling.con, you have no idea how to play it. There's lots of options to learn how to play it. We have the signs where you can stick on your table that says, "Teach me how to play this game," which has been pretty successful. And also, between the 8 of us staff members, I think we know, uh, probably a whole lot of games
Mhm.
to teach. So we're always very willing to go around to the attendees and help them learn games. We're very willing to sit down and teach them, and even play with them if they want us to, or just teach them and then have at it. But I do agree with you. That's something that people love at Fling.con, is they can come and learn games.
Yeah, and
You know, back to what you were saying, Wes, about you know, fostering that community, bringing the community members in, and having Fling.con, you know, be willing to teach you. That's what you know, teach games. That I think that's imperative to this hobby. You know, you need to be able to show, you know, because some of these games look very intimidating.
Oh yes.
I mean, you can look at a game and be like, "Oh man, that's a Vital Lacerda game." No, thank you. You know, and you know, it almost looks daunting, you know, to want to play some of these games. So if you have those people there, if you have those community members there to say, "Look, it's not as bad as it looks. You know, this is how you play it. This is how we, you know, these are the steps and the processes that you take." You know, I think that kind of takes some of that anxiety. I don't want to call it anxiety, but trepidation to play a game, and it brings it down to a lower level.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important to be teaching people games. You know, I think a lot of people should be doing it.
That was me
So,
with Rising Sun at the last convention. So
mhm.
thank you, Kelvin, who couldn't be here tonight.
Yep.
But thank you, Kelvin, for teaching me. You know, I gotta get on them. You know, Adam and Dario and Kelvin. And so, guys, those of you who are tuning in, just know there's 3 more of us jokers who are gonna be getting on here. And
Four.
four. That's
Four.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. I'm wrong.
Yep.
Yep. 4 of us jokers who are gonna be adding in here. So if you think we're having fun now, wait until they get here. This is going to be rocking. So I invite you back. You know, hopefully, we haven't yet decided exactly how often we're going to do this, whether it's going to be weekly or monthly or bi-weekly or whatnot. But we're going to have some fun. We're hoping that you'll come join our channel and just enjoy some good board game talk. You know, we're gonna do some previews of new games coming out. We're going to talk about what's available. We're going to give you reviews of games that we've played before, things that we think might be good additions to your library. But in the meantime, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to crack on each other, maybe even crack on you. You never know. Stay tuned. And we're just going to enjoy ourselves. So, for those of you who haven't done it yet, I want you to look down below this video, all right, and you see the thumbs up button. So let's hit the thumbs up button first of all, and then after the thumbs up button, I'd like you to just go to the right of that, and you'll see that subscribe button. Go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notifications, and when we get around to have some fun and talk about all this stuff, we'd love to have you join us. Thanks so much for joining us here at Fling.con. We're looking forward to having you join us again.
Thank you, guys.